Hello, I'm Anthony David Hobbs, and this is my review of Batman Begins, the 2005 movie. Now, in 2005, the same year, the Dukes of Hazzard did a movie, and it was supposed to reboot the franchise, make it really cool again. It didn't work, the movie was a big flop. But in the same year, Batman Begins, the exact opposite. It resurrected a franchise, made it really cool again, yeah. And I suppose I would be remiss if I didn't say this. In 2001, 4 years before this film, but 4 years after the movie Batman and Robin. Now, in 1997, Batman and Robin was a disaster, and it was a shock, a disappointment, because the previous three films had been so good, yeah. But Batman and Robin, it was camper, sillier, cheesier, all the jokes fall flat. It was like a bad pantomime. And it was really babyish to sell toys. That's why they made it really babyish. There was a reason, yeah. And the whole movie was a big toy commercial, but they overdid it. They made it so babyish, it was too babyish for children. It certainly wasn't entertaining for grown-ups either. It was awful, yeah. But the Batman franchise had learnt a lesson. Okay, don't overdo it. Don't tone it down too much. If we do another Batman film, it's got to be darker and more sinister and more gritty, yeah. Anyway, in 2001, there was a trailer. Now, you know how sometimes they advertise a film a year in advance? Well, they did this. And they were playing a bit of music from one of the Batman movies. And we see a mansion. Yeah, it might be Wayne Manor, yeah. And the narrator goes, "Here's a great hero who hides in the shadows. And he's come to save us all." And all the audience in the cinema, "Oh, great, it's going to be a new Batman film. Yeah, it's going to be fantastic." And then we see a silhouette that looks like Batman. And it's Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Yes, that is a hero that hides in the shadows. Is he any good at saving people? Well, the narrator says to Scooby-Doo, "Are you going to save everyone?" And he says, "Who, me? And runs away because he's a coward, yeah. Okay, so yeah, that was a funny pun. But I thought, well, what does this mean? Is there ever going to be a new Batman film? Yeah. Well, eventually we found out, yeah. So, in 2005, Christian Bale, who had a fair bit of acting experience before, he'd been in The Machinist, Empire of the Sun, Midsummer Night's Dream, American Psycho. So yes, he was quite famous before, but this made him more famous, a lot more. He was a household name because of this. And Christopher Nolan became a well-established famous director because of this film, yeah. And he went on to direct that Inception film and Interstellar. Anyway, okay, the story. Well, the first quarter of the film is a little confusing because every now and again we have these flashbacks at events that don't happen in the right order, yeah. We see Bruce Wayne, who's deliberately put himself in prison because he wants to learn more about how criminals, how they behave, how the criminal mind works, yeah. Then we have a flashback to when he was a little boy, and he was good friends with Rachel, so they've been friends a long time. And anyway, put simply, Bruce Wayne, when he's a little boy, falls down a well. He was lucky he wasn't killed, just biffed about and bashed and bruised a bit. But the possibility of being killed is not what terrifies him. No, the thing that terrifies him is a load of bats. There's a gap in the side of the well where there's a bat cave, and he's terrified of bats, And I would have thought almost being killed would be more terrifying, but each to their own. And then he goes to the opera with his parents, because they're very rich, going to the opera is the thing to do. And some of the characters in the story in the opera resemble bats, and Bruce is really scared, so they have to get out. So, okay, they leave the opera early, they're in a dark alley. Why didn't they just go through the main entrance? Why do they go to the side alley where it's dangerous? Well, anyway, a mugger points a gun at them and demands money. Thomas Wayne, his father, gives him his wallet with the money. Take it, it's yours, yeah. And then the mugger kills them anyway. He kills the mother and the father and then runs away. And Bruce Wayne, naturally, is traumatised. And just before his father dies, he says, "Don't be afraid. Yeah, don't let this ruin your life," basically, yeah. And then the police come and they get Bruce Wayne, Alfred, the butler, is going to look after him now. And the police capture the murderer, Mr. and Mrs. Wayne. So that's good. And he's in prison for about 14 years, yeah. And, Alfred says to him when Bruce trips up, "Why do we fall so that we can be picked up again?" Yeah. Oh, no, his father says that, but then Alfred says it afterwards. Anyway, the point is, when Bruce Wayne is grown into a man, there's a court hearing. The man that murdered his parents is going to be let out after 14 years in prison. And Bruce Wayne is not satisfied with that. No, he wants him dead, And he takes a gun with him, and just as he's coming out of the courtroom, he's on the brink of shooting him. but somebody beats him to it. Somebody else shoots him. Oh, somebody else has a grudge against him, yeah. And then his friend Rachel, who's played by Katie Holmes, who at the time was very famous for the TV show Dawson's Creek. And then she was in that film in 2001 called The Gift, a kind of supernatural chiller type story, yeah. Anyway, the point is, this has nothing to do with Dawson's Creek. Well, she plays a character called Rachel Dawes, and Dawes sounds very similar to Dawson, yeah. But apart from that, no, there's no resemblance to Dawson's Creek at all. She wanted to show that she could play different characters, yeah. And, when they're alone, Bruce Wayne talks with her and says, I was going to kill him. I even brought the gun with me, yeah. And Rachel slaps him around the face. That was wrong. You had no right to do that. But he's a murderer, he's ruined my life. He should die for that. It's justice. You're a lawyer, aren't you? Don't you think justice should be done? And Rachel says, that isn't justice. That's revenge. Justice is for the benefit of all the people. Whereas revenge is a personal grudge. So that's not the same thing. So what you did was wrong, yeah. Then later in the story, Bruce Wayne, he goes to like Asia or Tibet or Thailand or somewhere in the Far East. And yes, he gets into fights in prisons, yeah, because he's taking his anger out. If he can't, he wants justice to be done. So all prisoners need to be beaten up, everywhere, yeah. Anyway, then eventually he gets let out of prison and he's away from home for about, 5 or 6 years or something. And anyway, Liam Neeson appears in the film and he's a mentor. He trains people how to become ninjas. And he says to Bruce Wayne, if you want to fight evil, that's not the proper way to do it, and he trains him how to fight with samurai swords and those ninja stars and unarmed combat and armed combat. And ninja means shadow warrior, one that can hide in the shadows, the art of invisibility, yeah, not being seen. And he trains him all these different kinds of things. And he says, to conquer fear, you must become fear. Put simply, what that means is to beat an enemy, you have to know your enemy, find out what makes him tick, yeah. If you get to know your enemy, you can work out his weakness. Yeah, every enemy has a weakness. So to understand how to beat an enemy, you have to learn all you can about it. So he has to destroy all his fear. Yeah, the only thing he fears is bats, But he learns all he can. And there's that bit when, those crooked hook things, he uses that to stop him falling down a big ice mountain thing. Oh, but before that, this happens. Liam Neeson, the mentor, says, right, you're ready, you're a fully trained ninja, there's just one last test that remains. And he has a murderer who's a prisoner brought down, right, you have to chop his head off. And Bruce Wayne says, no, I can't do that, I'm not an executioner, no. But it's justice, this man is a murderer and got away with it. If I kill him, that's not justice, that's revenge. And look, if you kill a man that's trying to kill you in the heat of battle, that's different. But when a man is kneeling down and begging for his life and he's unarmed and you kill him, that's not revenge. No, that's not justice. That's murder. And there is a big difference. And that's what he's learnt from Rachel, yeah. He disapproves. He decides to leave the ninja of the League of Shadows and sets fire to the monastery where they lived to cause a distraction. And then he goes back to Gotham City and he says to Alfred, I'm going to do it, going to become a crime fighter. But I can't do it as Bruce Wayne. No, I need to be a symbol to frighten people, yeah. So he dresses up like a bat and he has ninja stars shaped like bat symbols, or the batarams, I think they're called. And then Alfred says, but why bats? Why do you use the symbol of the bat? And he says, well, they frighten me. So I figure put the fear of God into the enemy. Yes, make them, instill the fear in them instead of me. Turn the weapon around so that they feel fear instead of me, yeah. And yes, we see the new Batmobile car. Originally, it's an armoured army car, but they paint it black, yeah, so it looks like that, yeah. And yes, it is a cool new version of the Batmobile, yeah. The wheels on this toy at the front are not 100% accurate. They're meant to look like that, but, well, what the hell, it's close enough. So there we are, the new look for the Batmobile. And, anyway, yes, we have a new villain in this one called the Scarecrow. And he instills fear in you, whether you fear him or not. He's got this gas that he sprays on your face. Then he puts the mask on, like the Scarecrow. And, you fear him whether you want to or not. That's why he's called the Scarecrow. You associate that image with that. And then, yes, Batman, he starts off with getting petty crooks. And then it gets bigger and bigger crooks, big-time crooks. And one of them, a corrupt cop, he ties a thing around his leg and will grapple upside down. And he says, where's the next shipment coming in? And he says, I only know where the first one is. I don't know where the second one is. I swear to God. Swear to me, he says. Yes, Batman has a very grim, gravelly voice. And when he meets another crook, he says, I'm Batman. Yeah. Some say that voice is a bit over the top, but then that's kind of the point, isn't it? Yes, he's meant to have a gravelly voice, so you can't identify who he really is. Yeah. And Bruce Wayne likes the party lifestyle, carefree and irresponsible, so no one would suspect that he and Batman are one and the same, yeah. And then, the Batmobile, yeah, he used it to save Rachel's life because she's had that fear gas put in it and it might kill her. So he's got to get her to the Batcave quickly because the cure is there. And he smashes through police cars and get out the way. He's biffed the other, yeah, to save the life of his friend, yeah. So he has to bend a few rules to see to it that justice is done, yeah. And it works. He saves Rachel's life, yeah. And his cool Batman cape, it's got this thing where the lining goes really stiff and hard, so it makes like the outline of a hang glider. So yes, he can sort of practically fly like a bat, yeah. So yes, lots of cool action sequences here and there, yes. Cillian Murphy plays the Scarecrow. Of course, he went on to be in Peaky Blinders, yeah. And yes, it's very dark and gritty. A lot of the scenes are shot in the shadows. Yeah, it's a total departure from Batman and Robin, but then that's kind of the point. That's what the fans wanted. It's not like a goofy, silly comic book movie. No, it's more like a serious drama. Yeah, it's quite psychological here and there, yeah. And, big spoiler alert. Bruce Wayne turns 30. Nothing unusual about that, but no. He's deliberately rude to all the party guests so they go away because he wants them out of the way because something dangerous is going to happen. And then, I didn't see this coming. Liam Neeson, his former mentor, he's a bad guy. Well, it depends how you define bad. But because they used to be friends, he hears him out and he says he's going to poison all the water in Gotham, kill everyone, yeah, destroy the whole city. He says, you can't do that. Well, the city is beyond help. We've done it before. We destroyed Rome thousands of years ago. We poisoned them with diseased rats. And then we burnt London. We burnt it to the ground, the Great Fire of London. And Bruce Wayne's like, no, come on. No, that fire happened by chance, by accident. Officially, yes, but unofficially, we burnt it all down, yeah. And we're going to do the same thing to Gotham, utterly destroy it, kill everyone. And Bruce Wayne's like, if you do that, yes, all the gangsters and the crime land bosses will be killed, but it's a bit rough luck on all the innocent people, isn't it? They haven't done anything wrong. This isn't justice. This is mass murder. This is crazy. But sometimes good and evil are not that clearly defined. Sometimes it's a matter of opinion, what is right and what is wrong. And in the League of Shadows' opinion, this is justice, yeah. Well, Bruce Wayne and him don't see eye to eye, so he knocks him out or puts a big piece of the building on top of him. Alfred manages to save him at the last second, then Wayne Manor is burnt down. And according to Liam Neeson, that's justice. You burnt my home, so I burnt yours. And then afterwards, they're gonna fight the League of Shadows. They're the real reason, and they're behind the assassination of his parents. Oh dear me! So the story runs even deeper. Yeah. Anyway, Batman has all these gadgets. His suit is bulletproof, knife-proof, and anything else proof. Yeah. Gets on the train that's going to poison the water, and Liam Neeson says, "You'll never stop this train." Who says I wanted to stop it? And he gets out with his Batman suit, manages to fly out of the carriage. A bit of the railway track has been sabotaged, but Liam Neeson realises this too late. It goes off the track, smashes, blows up. Yeah, he's destroyed. Oh, and we see the Scarecrow riding a horse. But because he's put all this fear gas over it, he looks like one of the horsemen of the apocalypse, yeah. The Scarecrow was a cool villain, and I wish we could have seen more of him. But then there's so much happening, so many other characters in the story, yeah. But we see enough of the Scarecrow for him to be memorable, yeah. And, so yes, justice is done. You can't mass murder a load of innocent people, yes. The League of Shadows has gone too far. And yes, Batman, yes, Rachel finds out that Bruce Wayne and Batman are one and the same because something he says to her that she works it out, yeah. And, but he can't be in a relationship with Rachel because he's too busy being a superhero. Since when can superheroes not have a relationship? That hasn't stopped other superheroes. Well, it stopped this one, yeah. Okay, let's wrap this up. Yes, it's a very enjoyable story, very dark and gritty, and you can enjoy it if you're a grown-up or a child. I wouldn't recommend kids under 7 seeing it, though. It does get a bit scary in other parts. Oh, yes, and when Batman gives the Scarecrow a taste of his own medicine, makes him scared of him, of the scary gas stuff, yeah. In other words, an overall good story, loads of great action sequences, and yes, a spectacular resurrection, a great reboot to a fantastic franchise. So it's definitely one of the best Batman films. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm Anthony Hobbs, and I'm never bored.